I'm rebuilding this car into a Burnout car that I would take to bigger shows like
Yeah.
Destruction up at our local racetrack. Big crowd, and I would do massive burnouts with hoping to put a blower on it. We'll see.
All right,
But,
welcome to episode 119 of the Drag Driver Pete Show presented by Summit Racing. Y'all, tell us who you are, what you're doing, all that kind of fun stuff.
Yeah, my name is Peter Cisler. I'm 23 years old. I started working on cars, I think when I was 16 or so. Just
Man,
kind of
so
dove
a
into it.
long time.
Oh, yeah. It's been a couple of years. I'm getting old. No, but I got introduced to it through one of my buddy's uncles. He used to bracket race and stuff, and he had a Plymouth Belvedere that he raced since he was, I don't know, 19 or something, and that was always really cool, and he took us to the racetrack. So my buddy kind of got me hooked on cars, and ended up picking up my first car, which was a 1990 Camaro. That went terribly as first car, and everything was self-taught. So, but you know,
yeah, not the car to learn on, man.
Yeah, no, I learned a bunch of stuff, and I guess then I got into other cars as well.
Was it the tune port, I guess, in that car? Was it V8 or V6?
It was a 305. So yeah,
oh, man.
It was a V8.
Yeah,
but
week burnouts for hours.
Yeah. It had a bent frame and everything. I did not know what I was supposed to be looking for when I was buying cars back then. So
yeah, you're like Camaro, super cool.
Yeah, that's me. Yeah,
third gen, bro.
Yep,
coolest dude in school. Did you have a mullet then?
Dude, I sprouted a mullet. I actually had one.
Yes, that's awesome. That's awesome. All right, well, Miss Kaitlyn, introduce yourself. Tell us what you got going on.
All right, my name is KaitlynJacobe. I'm gonna be 21 very shortly. I kind of got introduced to motorsports through my grandpa and my dad. We always say there's two pictures that kind of describe how it all started, and one is a picture of me standing next to my grandpa's stock car, and the other one, my dad taking me for a ride around the block with his motorcycle when I was just a baby.
Yes.
Yep.
Man, that's so dangerous. Motorcycles early on, that'll shape your future right there.
Yeah, no, I had to wait till I was 18 to get a motorcycle.
Yeah. So I had the same memory. My dad had motorcycles when I was really young, and then as I was like 6 or 7, maybe 7, I got my first motorcycle, a little Honda 50, and man, 10,000 miles I bet I put on that thing around our yard.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. It tore up a ton of stuff, mainly the yard with that thing. We figured out you could do, little dirt burnouts, slide the back. Anyway,
yeah.
This is about you guys. So, you got your first motorcycle at 18. What'd you get?
I got a CBR 250.
Yeah.
And then this last spring actually upgraded to a Ninja 500.
Yes, that's awesome. I was always a sport bike guy. Way back when. Got 2 kids now, no motorcycles for me.
Okay.
Too many people on the road, but I probably haven't had a motorcycle in as long as you've been alive. So, sheesh, man, that makes me feel old. Anyways, all right, well, let's talk about some of this stuff, because I want this first bit to be people getting to know you, right? I want to know who you are, where you're from, all that stuff we've gone over. But I want to know about this Camaro. We talked just for a brief second. I think it was maybe Saturday night at Heads Up Hustle about the first Camaro you built, but you had put in a deal with John Paul, which I thought he was going to be on here with us tonight. I'm going to text him here in just a second while you're telling this story. But yeah, tell us about this Camaro right here.
So this Camaro, after the first Camaro that I bought, that 1990, we found a bent frame on that thing about a year after I got it or so. After seeing that and multiple other issues, we kind of decided that car wasn't the right car to build into something cooler. So I got rid of that one, and I found this car. It was in a junkyard. I paid $900 for the chassis. It came with no wheels, tires, or anything. It was completely bare bones, and we brought it in. We put a small block Chevy in it, Super T10, and we ran that for probably about a year or so, maybe 2 years. And after a while, I started working full time in a factory, and I actually had access to real money at that point.
Nice.
So
dangerous.
Yeah, that's exactly where it starts. And throughout a couple years in between there, I'd put aluminum heads on the small block and all that stuff. And I swapped a T5 into it as well. And we had been testing on the street and stuff a bunch back then, and I ended up shattering third gear in a T5, which everybody knows you'll do. And at that point, it was like, well, we need to buy a trans that I can never break. So I bought a T56 that was rated at 1,200 horsepower, and that's kind of where this whole twin turbo thing started. Because the transmission's rated for this much power. There's no sense in putting a small block that only makes 400 behind in front of it. So
yeah, because we got all this room to grow.
Yeah, so we knew nothing really about fuel injection. Me and my buddy Adam, he also has a YouTube channel, Redneck Racing. So if you want to see some old stuff, that's where to see that.
Old stuff. You mean like 4 years ago, 5 years ago?
Like the small block Chevy stuff that we didn't know what we were doing. That's
awesome.
It's comedic. But no, we broke third gear, and I got a trans that would hold power, and so we kind of dove headfirst into the LS stuff because as far as making cheap power and reliable power, that's kind of what we heard was the way to go.
Yeah.
We didn't know what we were doing, but we just kind of went for it. We ended up building a 6-liter LS, pretty much bone stock other than the rods and pistons, and I put a set of heads on it.
Nice. So not stock at all. Stock crank and block. That's it. Everything else has been touched.
Everything,
pretty close to stock though.
The only things that are stock I think left, I think, are the crank and the block. So
bolt-ons.
Yeah, exactly.
On,
No, and then he convinced me to do twin turbos, and that wasn't really hard to do. He didn't have to twist my arm that bad. So
right, especially he's like, dude, look at all this room under the hood of this Camaro. We have so much room.
There's plenty of room, and the turbos were actually under the hood for probably about a year.
Oh, that's so boring.
And that's kind of what I figured. Like, you don't know if you have a turbo unless you can see it.
Thank you.
That's the obvious answer.
Yes.
So I ended up sticking them out through the hood. A lot of it was just to see what kind of attention we could drag with the car. So it was kind of cool, and I don't know, pretty neat. And it turned into this. This photo was shortly after they went through the hood, which was, I think, right before the unfortunate mishap. But yeah.
And I'll tell you, this car is a ton of fun to watch, or the new car is a ton of fun to watch. We're going to talk about the new car in a minute, but it's a ton of fun because, man, those turbos just rock when it's on the two steps. I'm sure at night this thing looks
it is sick. It'll shoot like a 4 or 5 foot fireball out of both stacks and the wastegates, and it is the loudest car at the track on the two-step. That's guarantee.
Well, and I think what's really fun, and this is going to sound bad, but as young as you are, and then you pull up and it's got turbos out of the hood, and people are like, oh man, what do we got going on here? And then the car works, man. I didn't know it was a stick the first time you launched, and I was like, man, he left pretty easy. But then after learning, I was like, oh yeah, keep things together, especially when you drive it all the way from home.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So walk us through this car. So this car is T56. Is this car T5? You said, or T56?
Currently, it is a face-plated T56 from Tick Performance. It's their ultimate drag racing transmission. It's got a triple disc R monster clutch. It's the 6-liter LS with 237 PRC heads, twin 62-67 millimeter turbos, just air-to-air intercooler. It's on pump E85. It's on a ladder bar setup. Currently, it's sitting on coilovers. This picture was taken with the pretty much stock suspension. So
wow, that's awesome. And DeechWorks is a leading manufacturer of high-performance fuel system components. The DW product line includes fuel injectors, fuel pumps, pump modules, fuel rails, regulators, filters, lines, and fittings, and surge tanks, all engineered to support power levels ranging from 400 to 2,200 or more horsepower. Guys, find them deechworks.com. If you don't know how to spell that, just screenshot this here, and then it'll take you right there. So our folks tonight are a young couple that I met on Heads Up Hustle. And I'll tell you what, I didn't know they drove their car all the way there, pulling a trailer, doing all this fun stuff until like the end of the event. And I hated myself for it because they worked their absolute butts off. So please do me a favor, hit the share button as we move in here and bring in. So this car, unfortunately,
whoops.
Part of being a YouTuber is recording stuff and putting out there. But listen, I started recording to YouTube 2016 or 17 because, man, I wanted those memories. Like I wanted that, and I wanted people to know if I'm willing to screw up, you can too, and it's fine. You know what I mean? Because it shows, hey, I got some resilience here. So tell us what happened.
So long story short, probably about at this point, we've been testing and messing around on the street like a lot of car guys do, and we'd never had a problem with it. And it's just, you kind of get looser on your checks and safety stuff and just looser in general. And it kind of got the best of me anyways. We always went and took our buddies for rides and stuff in each other's cars and whatever. And it was right after I got the faceplated transmission, and I've been driving around for a couple weeks. So, with the faceplated thing, and I figured out how to shift it without using the clutch. and went to go take a buddy for a ride and stuff, and it didn't turn out so good. So a lot of it was I didn't do any of my checks that I should have. I should have set tire pressure. I should have changed shock settings. I should adjust the anti-roll bar for the extra weight in the other side of the car.
But you were just going for was it just a street drive?
Yeah, we just went out on the street. And,
yeah, man. And that's the thing. Oh, we weren't doing anything. We weren't crazy.
So yeah, no. I got after it a little bit, and I think I had changed the steering rack as well from a regular gearbox to a rack and pinions. So that changed the ratio.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So it didn't quite react the way I was used to, and a lot of it, it was just I wasn't quite used to how the car reacted, and maybe a little overconfident on my side, and it got away from me a little bit. I tried to pull a chute to save it, and it ended up tap dancing off into a ditch full of about 3 foot of swamp water. So that was fun. And as you can see, there's a tree-shaped dent in the backside of her, and I smoked a dead tree with it on the side. It spun the car around, and it's pretty twisted up.
Yeah, I would say that's no good.
Everybody walked away with no injuries or anything. We got extremely, extremely lucky, and that has been the last time we've ever been on the street since then. So,
well, I was going to say the hardest part about experience is that you have to get some experience to know what to do next time. You know what I mean? Like you get wild with it next time, it gets a little loose. You're like, I'm going to let out.
Oh, yeah.
Instead of trying to drive through, which, hey, we all have done that. We've all put cars in the ditches and on the side and then up against trees.
Yep.
That's what I know. So new car. There was another shot in here. Hold on. So that's there after I'm sure after you got it home. Yeah, this shot here. So walk us through what's going on right here.
Okay, the cage is actually my buddy Chevelle that we built this last year.
Because I was thinking, I'm like, dang, dude, I was like, how did that cage not get damaged? I was thinking it was under the floor of the Camaro.
The cage actually, and there's an 850 cage, and it's completely untouched. It just destroyed the body.
Yeah.
But long story short, I'm rebuilding that car. I'm going to leave the tree-shaped dent in it because I think it tells the story, and it kind of shows people what you shouldn't do. And like, hey, don't be stupid. You can get hurt. Don't do it.
Yeah.
Some of the best lessons are learned the hard way, and I think if anybody can, even one person can learn from my mistake, I think that's a win right there. So currently, I'm rebuilding this car into a Burnout car that I would take to bigger shows like construction up at our local racetrack. They got a big crowd, and I would do massive burnouts with. I'm hoping to put a blower on it. We'll see, but we'll get there.
That'll be cool, and it'll have a great story behind it. You know what I mean? Like it gives you again another reason. Somebody's gonna walk by and go, "Dude, what happened?" You have to tell them, and that's why it's a Burnout car.
Yeah. No, you want to see getting roasted in the comments? You should have seen the comments on those videos. I was getting murdered. It was bad.
Oh man, I haven't watched the video yet, but I can only imagine. Like everybody's a better driver than you've ever thought about being when they're behind their keyboard.
Yep.
But again, like I said, dude, you got to, listen. I've put motorcycles in ditches. I've flipped stuff. All kind. That's the only way you know how to get that experience is to do that, or you just don't drive to the limit, but you don't know where that limit is.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I'm just glad you guys weren't hurt, but tell us about this new car. So because from my understanding, this is a pretty quick turnaround.
Yeah, so long story short, I've always heard stories of people getting scared of racing again after a wreck like that, and I love racing, and I want to continue to race, and I did not want that to be a fear for me. So I pretty much threw everything I had at building a new car. I remember at one point in time, I had $134 in my bank account.
You were rich, dude.
Oh yeah, I was all in on this deal, and we built the car in 2 months. We had this new car back at the track in 2 months.
Man, that's crazy.
Yeah, we found a chassis a week after the wreck, about 4 hours north of us, and we went and got that the next day.
Man, that's crazy. Did it already have a cage and stuff in it?
It actually had the cage in it. That's why I bought it, because I didn't want to have to redo the cage, because that would take me another week or so. So
was there a deadline? Like, was it a race you were trying to make? I mean,
not really. It was just we were also challenging ourselves to see how fast we could get it together. I really wanted to rip that Band-Aid off of racing and just get it over with, get back on the track, and get comfortable again. And but do it more responsibly this time.
Well, I mean, you're already at the track. That helps.
Exactly. Yeah. No, at least
little
there's a
bit there.
safety crew there and stuff. So
Any changes between the two cars, or did you basically just pull the powertrain, everything over, and put it in the new one?
it's a very similar setup. This car has a lot more changes than the black car did. This is a ladder bar setup. So I went to coilovers in the back, and then just over this last winter, I put tubular A-arms in the front with coilovers and stuff like that. And I added a whole bunch of shock sensors and stuff last winter, and just trying to collect all the data that we can possibly get.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it's very similar setup. Same drivetrain. The rear end is actually out of that car. Believe it or not, it wasn't.
Dang.
It wasn't bent from what I could tell. I'm starting to have second doubts about it right now, but because it keeps chewing up the bearing on the passenger side. So I'm wondering if that housing is just a little bit tweaked, and it's just enough to put
some heat and pressure. You'll be fine.
Yeah. We had a spare one on the Heads Up Hustle, so
nice.
We were dialed.
That's cool. Well, what engine management's in it?
It's a Holly Dominator.
Oh, dang, dude. Come on. I like your style.
I go all in on everything. So
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, normally it'd be factory ECU or Terminator X, but good job, dude. And you start talking about data and data points. You almost have to have a Dominator at that point to get everything.
Especially in the stick shift game, because I made my own strain gauge, because to buy a strain gauge shift knob, it's like $800. I don't want to spend that kind of money, so I just made my own. And I don't know if you guys know a fella named Evan Erkowitz.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he helps me out a lot. And
nice.
He helped me. I did the hardware side of it, and he kind of figured it out in the ECU and stuff. And
that's awesome.
It actually works pretty good. So
what you're saying is you need to start mass producing those and
I have thought about it, but
selling those.
We're going to wait on that for a little while.
Yeah, you got to get the car running 100%.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's talk ETs, man. What kind of times was this car running or is running and all that?
The fastest the car's ever been, has been a 910 at 155 on about
that's fast.
20 pounds or so. So
wow.
We got time left on the table. I'm hoping to put her down in the 850s or 860s by the end of the year, but we'll see how that goes. But
the weather only gets better from here.
That is true. Boost weather.
Yeah, right. And they're out front, so it's perfect.
Yep, exactly.
It helps with all the stuff. It's like a Ram Air effect.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I want to talk about one last thing in the Detroit segment here, and then we're going to talk about the Heads Up Hustle next. Let's talk about this YouTube channel, dude. You do a great job. Bunch of videos over there. Man, a great follower account. So it means you're doing something right. So tell us why you started this. Where it's headed.
A lot of it has just been I enjoy making videos. I actually enjoy watching my own videos back sometimes, a year or two later, and just be like, oh, but yeah, we did that. That was cool. It's kind of cool to capture a bunch of memories and get to show other people that, I guess, because there's a lot of people out there that don't have the know-how or don't want to or the money to attempt, some of these things. And I think it's kind of cool if we can share that. Yeah, it's a lot of that.
When you get old like me, the documentation of those times is awesome. We're coming up on nearly 10 years of having stuff on YouTube, it's a big deal. So one of our best videos on the shop channel that we have, it was my dad and I putting a seat cover on, and, my dad passed in 2020. So my kids were too little to really spend a ton of time. So their kids will be able to watch, what their great grandfather would have been able to, so I mean, it's really cool to have that. And plus here's my biggest thing. Is I want to be able to, when I'm telling the story and people are like, whatever, I'm like, oh, well, hang on, let me just pull it up right here. And I'll show you. It'd be easier if I showed you.
No, there's been tons of times I've done that. It's like, oh, you lit a Christmas tree on fire with your car? Oh, yeah, here, look at this.
Yeah, they're like, wait, what? Yeah, that's exactly right. There's a lot of cars that hopped Coke cans back in the 70s and 80s that nobody has proof of. But we'll all have proof of stuff we've done. So 4,000 subscribers, dude. Congratulations, especially on 78 videos. So it must mean you guys are doing something right. I'll tell you, it's pretty good numbers there.
The thing that we did right was apparently rack. That's where all the subscribers came from.
I don't recommend that kind of growth.
I don't either. But no, we've seen a lot of return from the drag and drive as well. So that's been really cool to see that people are enjoying that.
Well, perfect. Well, let's use that to segue into the Performa-Built transmission segment here. And Just want to say thanks to Deechworks and all the stuff they do for us here. Love those guys. Mark Campbell is going to be on next week for episode 120 to talk about 850 racing, which, you're talking about 850 stuff. 850 in the stick car, craziness. Violence is what that is. So I'm excited to have Mark on. He's not a stick shift guy. He's a guy, but whatever. This weekend was crazy. It was awesome to have all of our race car friends around and to just see a ton of people that we wouldn't have been seeing, really, to be honest with you, if we weren't at the Havlicks still. It was pretty crazy. Lots of good friends, lots of good times were had there, and actually got to the hotel at a reasonable time every night. Seemed pretty strange. Had no super late nights. I guess I was up pretty late Friday night, but that was on my behalf. I was working on videos and all that kind of stuff. So again, thank you all for hanging out. Thank you all for being around. Thank you for the shares. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for the crazy outpouring of love we had this last weekend. Had one of the biggest weekends on YouTube we've ever had. And it was because you guys, I mean, tons of shares, tons of comments on the photos and stuff like that. I know we didn't put out a ton, but what we did put out was great. And Eric has been working his butt off trying to get more and more stuff out. So make sure you're following Eric White on Facebook as well, because that's where he's typically going to post all the super cool stuff. And of course, our sponsors. Without them, we really couldn't do this. I mean, it wouldn't be possible for us to do as many events as we do as many shows, all that kind of stuff. So if you're doing some shopping, please hit these folks up. A lot of them have discount codes for us and all that kind of stuff. So Summit Racing, obviously title sponsor here of the show and the news and the circuit, which we have some updates on here in just a minute. Deechworks, Molly Motorsports, Driven Racing Oil, Howard's Cams, J-Wire Solutions, who's going to be on next week. And I get to talk about that here in a little bit. And our newest sponsor, AFCO Racing. Can't believe that they came on board. Gives us a great opportunity to understand more about suspension and stuff. Performer Built Transmissions, which I'm going to get to see in like a month at Hot Rod Drag Week. I can't wait. Car Change 3D, who I got to see when I went up to Heads Up Hustle. Power Tube TV, which has some exclusive stuff that's coming to them tomorrow for the Fastest Street Car Shootout that I feel like they're going to love, and all of their fans over there. So if you're not watching there, please do that. WAF Racing, we love Chris Wozniak and the team over there. Sweet Patina, best hand cleaning wipes in the market, hands down. TKO hand cleaning wipes, Sweet Patina, awesome. And then Racing Junk Classifieds, who built an entire segment of just drag and drive cars. Hope you understand that. That's a pretty big deal for them to add that at our request. And I mean, listen, let's be honest. Drag and drive is on the up and up, keeps growing, all that kind of fun stuff. All right.